The coffee hit the floor before I did. Porcelain shattered. Brown spread across the tiles like a warning I should have listened to years ago. My son stood in the doorway, barefoot, steady. His hands weren't shaking. "Dad," he whispered, voice low and urgent, like someone had trained him to speak only when it mattered. "We need to leave this house, now." 6 years of wheelchairs, ramps, doctors who spoke in careful tones, and a mother who cried on cue. 6 years of believing a story because the alternative was unthinkable. I didn't ask how. I didn't ask why now. I ran. The garage door screamed upward. I grabbed the emergency bag I'd packed and never thought I'd use. Passports, cash, hard drive. I lifted him into the passenger seat. He moved like someone who remembered how. Muscle memory doesn't lie. As I reversed out, my phone buzzed. A text from my wife. "Boarding. No service for a bit. Love you." I smiled for the first time in months. I met her when life was simple, or maybe when I was. She laughed easily then, touched my arm like she meant it. We built a life fast. House, kid, promises said out loud because we believed them. The accident came later, or what she called an accident, a fall down the stairs. No witnesses, just her voice on the phone, trembling, saying my name like it was a prayer. The doctors said spinal trauma, permanent damage, paralysis from the waist down. She took over everything after that. Meds, appointments, therapy schedules. I was working longer hours to cover bills. She said it was better if she handled it. She said a lot of things. I noticed the changes slowly. New passwords, phone face down, girls' nights that ran late and smelled like cologne. Our son's therapy sessions shortened, missed. "He's tired," she'd say. "Don't push him." He stopped improving. I didn't connect the dots because I didn't want to see the picture they made. The first crack came a year ago. I found a message on the iPad she forgot to log out of. "He still can't feel anything, right?" Her reply came fast. "As long as he takes what I give him." I didn't confront her. I watched. I replaced his meds with vitamins, cleared it with a specialist friend without telling her why. 3 days later, my son twitched his toes. 5 days later, he felt pressure. She noticed too. That night, she doubled his dosage. That was the moment something cold settled in my chest and stayed there. I started planning. I installed cameras, small ones, silent ones. I tracked prescriptions, followed money. The girls' trip wasn't new. The man was. A physical therapist she'd insisted on. A lover who liked control and didn't ask questions. They were dosing my son, keeping him immobile, keeping him dependent, keeping me blind. I built my case quietly. Video, audio, medical records, financial trails. I moved assets into trusts she couldn't touch, changed beneficiaries, recorded conversations where she slipped, confident in her own performance. I waited. Revenge isn't loud when it's done right. It's patient. We crossed state lines before she even buckled her seatbelt on the plane. My son slept, finally free of the fog that had lived behind his eyes. I checked us into a safe house under a name she didn't know. I called the attorney I'd already retained, sent the files, every one. Then I waited for her to land. She called screaming, accusations, threats, tears. I let it go to voicemail. I wanted her calm, confused. I wanted her to feel the ground shift slowly, the way it had for me. By the time she realized the accounts were frozen, the therapist was in custody. By the time she got home, the house was empty. No furniture, no photos, no son. Just an envelope on the kitchen counter. Inside was a single still frame from the footage, her hand, the syringe, our son's leg, and a court date. The confrontation came weeks later in a room that smelled like disinfectant and consequence. She looked smaller, thinner. Her eyes darted, calculating exits that weren't there. She tried to cry. It didn't work without an audience. "They made me," she said, like that explained anything. I leaned forward, calm, measured. "You made a choice," I said, "every day." The judge didn't raise his voice when he spoke. He didn't have to. Sentencing doesn't need drama, just facts. She watched the screen when they played the video. She didn't look away. I think part of her wanted credit. When it was over, she finally looked at me. "I loved you," she said. "No," I replied. "You loved control." My son walked out of that building on his own. The sun hit his face like something earned. He didn't smile, not yet. Healing takes time, but he stood taller than he ever had. Later, when the house was quiet and the past felt far away, he sat across from me and spoke like a man who'd been waiting. "She told me you'd leave if I got better," he said. "Said you couldn't handle it." I felt the last of the rage burn off. What remained was clean.
"She was wrong," I said. He nodded. That was enough. I don't think about her anymore. Not in anger, not in grief. Just as a lesson learned the hard way. Betrayal hides in plain sight. Justice doesn't need witnesses. And sometimes the moment you think you've lost everything is just the moment the truth stands up and walks toward you. I poured another cup of coffee the next morning. This time, I didn't drop it.